Mamas, good morning, good morning. All right, I know I'm on super early this morning. Because my day is packed. I have a super busy day today, but I wanted to come on and do this live because this is something that it's funny. You know how like it sometimes feels like God or the universe or somebody is like sending you, sending you a message. So honest to God, it's so funny. So I've been thinking about this topic for the last, I don't know, probably like a week. And it's like all of these different people that I listen to have put this kind of message in front of me, right? And it was the funniest thing this morning. So I'll tell you the story. So usually I listen to something when I'm in the shower, right? That's like while I'm getting ready and in the shower, I listen to either an audiobook or I listen to a podcast or I listen to some music, whatever kind of, wherever my head kind of takes me that morning. And so I'm trying to figure out like what I'm going to listen to. And Jen Sincero has a new book out. And so I went into Audible and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll get that. And like a voice in my head was like, no, that's not what you need today. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'm doing some work with Jennifer Allwood. She has a program that starts next week. And so maybe I will, maybe I'll like re-listen to her book. And I go into her audiobook in Audible and it literally won't start. Like it will not start. But when I back out, because I had searched for her name in my library, her podcast came up. And she had this new podcast episode this week about basically like, why are you scared of success? And I was like, whoa. And I listened to it and it was just like, it was so good and it was so powerful for me, which if you're not listening to Jennifer Allwood's podcast, you should definitely go check it out. And while you're in iTunes, go subscribe to the Small Biz Mama podcast. Because this week we're talking about how to set goals if you don't know what you should be working on. Okay, and I give you some really concrete steps on how to figure that out. So you can go wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can search for Small Biz Mama and you'll find my podcast. Okay. Or you can go to smallbizmama.com and you can actually listen right from the website if you want. Or we'll help direct you to all the places you can listen. So today I wanted to talk about how do you get your butt in gear when you're stuck. Okay. And particularly how do you get over that unrelenting, nagging fear that causes you not to move. Because when I talk to women and when I talk to small business owners, the vast majority of them, the reason that they're stuck, they don't move, they don't put themselves out there, they don't try to connect and get clients, the reason they play small is because they're afraid. And so I want to talk to you about how to break down that fear so you can get past it to move forward. Because I'm telling you, like, this is like right now, it's really funny. And I don't know what it is about the holidays. I have no idea. Like I can smell the fear sometimes in the Empowered Bookkeeper Network. It kind of comes in waves. That like everybody's doing okay, everybody's just fine, and then all of a sudden like it hits. And the thing with fear that's really interesting is that fear seems to feed and grow, right? And so if one person's like, oh my God, I'm really afraid this is going on, everybody's like, oh my God, I'm afraid too, and everybody's afraid, And so I want you, especially I'm broadcasting this into the Empowered Bookkeeper Network too. Folks, ladies, I need you to listen to this one, okay? Because I think that this is really critically important. I was actually going to do this on our live call today, and I decided, like, no, we've got, like, a ton of questions, and this is something that I think the broader community could really benefit from. And so I wanted to make sure that I shared this out with everybody. So, and the nice thing with this, too, is if you know any business owners that you think could benefit from this, please, like, share this out because I just think that this is really, really important for us to kind of listen to right now, and for us to kind of spend some time with. Okay. So how do you break down your fear? Okay. So the first step in doing this is, there's really 4 steps to getting past this. The first step is you need to really spend some time identifying what you're afraid of. Most people say, well, I'm afraid of making a mistake. Okay, well, why are you afraid of making a mistake? Keep asking yourself why until you kind of start circling. Okay? So why are you afraid of making a mistake? Well, because, my client will be upset. Okay? And then what's going to happen? Well, my client might fire me. Okay, and why are you afraid of that? Well, then, I won't have any clients. Okay, or I'll never get another client. So just start writing all these things down. Okay, because here's the thing: what you're trying to do is you're trying to like build up all of these things that your head is telling you. Why you can't do this, why you can't be successful, why you're not going to make it to the next level, why, right? Because these are the things that play in your head, and it's why you don't finish your QuickBooks certification. It's why you don't set up your LLC. It's why you don't share your stuff on Facebook. It's why you don't tell people about what you're doing. It's why you don't make connections with people. It's why you don't pitch them your services. All of these things. It's why it's funny. There's so many times in my life where I've kind of put something out there, just kind of, oh, look, I'm doing this thing. And then you wonder why nobody buys. And it's because you don't have a strategy in place. You're not following a methodology. You're just like, oh, look, I did this thing. Oh, see, the fear was right because I put it out there one time, kind of, sort of, didn't really ask people to buy, didn't really put my website link, and nobody bought. Because somehow, miraculously, people are supposed to, be able to figure out what your website is and figure out what you're selling and how you're selling and how to contact you when you put up a cryptic message about your business. Who's done that before? Huh? If you're watching live and you're watching the replay, raise your hand if you've ever done that before. You've kind of sort of put something out there, right? Or maybe you mentioned it once, but that was it. Okay? And you're not really putting yourself out there, and you're not really telling people you want clients. You're not really telling people that you want sales. You're not really putting yourself out there. And so people are confused. They don't know. They don't know how they should support you. They don't know if they should support you. And so I want you to write all these things down. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Write it all down. Okay? And keep asking, okay, so what? Then what happens? Then what happens? Then what happens? Okay? Or why? Okay? All right, so now you've got your list of your fears. Now I want you to ask yourself, is this a rational fear? Or is this an irrational fear? Now, typically, irrational fears are fears that contain words that are absolutes. Okay? So absolutes are things like never, nobody, everybody. So like you say, like, oh, nobody will want to work with me. Everybody's going to hate me. I'll never get clients. I'll never have a sale. Okay? Those are the absolutes speaking. And so what I want you to do is I want you to go through, okay, and all the ones that are absolutes, I want you to cross those ones out. Okay? I want you to cross out all the absolutes that are on that list. Just cross them out. Okay? And I want you to be left with the rational fears. The ones that are like, okay, what if I make a mistake? Okay, what if, what if my product doesn't do what I need it to do? What if, what if only 3 people buy? Right? What if I look like a failure? Okay. And I'm gonna I'm going to tell you a story about that in a second. Okay. When we go over number 3, but so that's the thing. I want you to kind of look at all these. What do you have left? Okay. And I want you to ask yourself, what's the worst that would happen if these things were true? Okay, what's the worst that would happen if any of these things are true? And I know, like some of you are going to go to like, I'd be dead. Okay, well, no, that's not, that's not going to happen. Probably not for most of what you're doing. Or everybody's going to hate me. Well, again, okay, there goes absolutes, right? So, no, okay, let's cross that one off. But what's the worst that could happen? So let me tell you a story. So, my first 2 ventures into the online space. Okay, this is super vulnerable here, okay? My first 2 ventures into the online space. We had a product called Small Biz HQ, okay, which I loved, and Jeff loved. We did it together. It was great. And the people who were in it, they loved it. We never marketed it the way that we should have. We never ran ads. We didn't have a strategy. We didn't have a good sales page. We didn't do all the things we were supposed to do, okay, when you launch a product. And eventually we shut it down because it just didn't grow to where it should have. And it wasn't that it was a bad product, it's that we didn't market it. We didn't invest in it the way we should have. And so the worst that happened was we ended up, after, I think we did it for 18 months, maybe, we shut it down. Now, so what's the worst that happened? So we shut this thing down. We made some really good friends out of it, and some people that I just absolutely love, that I still talk to on a regular basis, who are just amazing, amazing people. We learned a lot about business, right, as we were teaching them. And now we have all this content. And in 2021, we're actually going to be looking at all this content and seeing how we can roll it out to help all of you. So we're super excited about that, because we developed a lot of really cool things during that program. I still get messages from people who say, "Oh my God, I still use the Daily Focus Planner. Like, I still use that all the time." And so, like, stuff like that is, like, so cool, like, that we made that impact on people. So, that was pretty awesome. So, but that's the thing. So it's like, you think about, it's like, what's the worst that could happen? Now, let me tell you. So our second foray, I launched a tax course for small business owners. And again, like, my fear, okay, this is totally on me. My fear, of showing up was totally evident in this. I did not put myself out there. I did not do all the things I was supposed to do. We didn't run ads. We didn't do any of the things. I didn't, I didn't get support. I didn't do any of it. And I sold one. And it was funny, because then I had to go back and I refunded her. And now she is a great friend of mine. We talk on a regular basis, not as much as we should. Aurora, I owe you a message. But I made a really, really good friend from it. We strengthened our friendship, like, and I learned, like, okay, this is, this may not be the thing, but what that did is that woke me up so that I could, like, that, it was funny because that one really woke me up and said, okay, you know what? I need to find a better way. Like, I need to find another path, which leads me to number 4. Okay. So just recap. Number 1, you got to figure out what you're afraid of. Okay. And write it down and keep asking yourself, okay, so then what, or why, or then what happens, and really get it until you start, like, kind of circling around, okay, to the same couple questions back and forth. And then number 2 you're going to determine if these are rational or irrational fears. And remember, irrational fears are ones that contain absolute words like never, always, no one. Okay. And then number 3, I want you to really sit down and say, okay, for the rational fears, what's the worst that would happen? Okay. What's the worst that would happen if this is really, really true? Okay. And then number 4 is I want you to go out and I want you to find support. Sorry about that. And mute my Voxer. I want you to find some support. Okay. Now, what does that look like? It looks different for everybody. Okay. So for me, I'm really serious about, about growing the online part of our business. I'm tired of kind of screwing around and not really doing what I need to do. And so I joined a mastermind. That's what I did. When I started my accounting firm, I joined local chambers, right? That was what I did. And that's how I really grew. I grew my business locally. And then when I decided to grow our business online, I started taking courses to learn how to do that and to get support. But I always made sure that when I bought a course, the course had some sort of support system, right? Whether it was a Facebook group or live coaching or something like that. And that's why when I created Bookkeeper Training School, it was so important to me to have that live component. Because when people come into Bookkeeper Training School and they're like, oh my God, I'm so afraid, I'm going to mess something up. And I'm like, okay, no worries. Because 2 things. First, everything is fixable in QuickBooks. Okay, everything is fixable. It might be a pain, but everything is fixable in the software. And 2, you have support, right? You can come into this group. We have live calls. We have all the things, so that you're not alone, right? You have that support system in place to help you. And so, I just think it's critically important right now. Okay, because everybody's like, oh my God, COVID, and okay, there is a light at the end of the tunnel for COVID, right? And it may be like 6 months away. Okay, it's probably going to be summer by the time we have enough people vaccinated and enough people have had the virus that we can kind of start making some headway. If you're doing a live business, now I'll tell you, I know lots of people whose businesses are doing great because they pivoted, right? They've pivoted to a place where they're doing really well. And they've kind of had to change and think a little bit differently about how they're running their businesses. But they're doing great. And I know people in all fields that are doing great. Personal fitness, restaurants, anything having to do with business services. I have seen people pivot in pretty much every market and have done well. Okay. So it's just kind of thinking about like, how do you do things differently? Okay. And if you're in one of those markets that's struggling, message the page and say, I'm in this industry. I am struggling. I can't figure out how to pivot, and I will help you. Okay. I'll give you some ideas for free. Okay, so if you're one of those industries that's struggling, message the page, okay? Message the Small Biz Mama page, and I will throw out some ideas for you, okay? But find some support, find some group. It doesn't have to be a paid group, although I will tell you that the groups that you invest a little bit in, you're going to get people who are more invested. You're going to get better support from the leadership, right? Typically there's a little bit more structure in place. And that's why, with Bookkeeper Training School, it's funny because I keep getting advisors, right, that I'm working with. They're like, you have to raise the price. Like, for everything that you offer, for everything that's in there, for the time that you're investing in people, you have to charge more. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not. No, we're not doing that right now. Nope. So maybe in the summer, okay? Maybe in the summer we're going to do that, but not right now. Okay. So, and that's just kind of the decision that I've made because I'm really invested in helping as many moms as I can right now. So, I do that through, the paid stuff that we do in Bookkeeper Training School, but then also I do it through the free stuff that I do like on this page, and through the podcast, through other stuff that we're doing. So there's kind of that balance, right? But it's harder to do that when you don't, when there is no paid side either. Some of you that are like putting out tons and tons of content for free and, you've got podcasts and blog posts and you got to come up with a product. You got to come up with something to sell people because people want to invest in you like you invest in them. And so, and again, if that's something that we can help you with, message the page. And we can help you with that too. Okay. Now with that help, I might help you a little bit like behind the scenes and then, we might end up doing some content like this, right, about it as well. So, but I think that that's really helpful for people to kind of see how people are pivoting their businesses. So, all right, I got to run. I have another call I got to jump on. So, but listen, this has been great. Let me know how fear is holding you back. And how you're going to break through it. So I'd love to know either in the comments in this video, or, like I said, message the page and let me know. And please, if you know any business owners that could benefit from this, send this to them. You could send them a link through Messenger, right? You can share it right directly to them if they need this message. Just click share and it's going to ask you where you want to share it. You can send it directly to a friend. You're like, hey, I think you need this today. That would be awesome. All right, mamas, you take care. You have an awesome weekend, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.